Good morning. This is Faith Gauthier of theinspirededge.com coming to you today with our special guest, Rev Phil Larimore of Las Vegas, Nevada. What can I tell you about Rev Phil? This amazing man. He has performed thousands of weddings in the Las Vegas area, made many a TV appearance on like NBC's The Real Wedding Crashers, Discovery's America Casino and Monster Garage, Travel Channel's Two for Las Vegas, ABC's Extreme Makeovers, and Wee's Bridezilla, just to name a few. But most important to me, I worked with Phil for years while in the wedding photography business. So when Ken and I decided to tie the knot, I knew exactly who I wanted to perform our ceremony. No one else would do but Rev Phil. With Phil, we were able to personalize our ceremony to fit our personalities. Not every reverend would be comfortable with a sword salute. The right officiant really can help to make a wedding fun and interesting. Good morning, Rev Phil. Good morning, and thanks for that introduction. I'm trying to figure out who that was an introduction of. That was you. I was just hoping to kind of give a bride a feel for what they need to look for when they hire a wedding officiant for their ceremony.
Well, the first thing I would think is if they're connected to a church somewhere and their pastor could do it, or one of their associate pastors, that would probably be their first preference. But a lot of times those ministers are not available to do weddings, or sometimes the brides aren't connected, or grooms are connected to a church. So I guess that's where we would come in. Of course, in Las Vegas, being the wedding capital of the world, the licensing and restrictions on ministers is a little bit different than it is in the rest of the country. Here, not only do you have to be an ordained minister, but you've got to be licensed with the county. And I guess what a lot of people don't recognize or understand is there are a lot of people, both men and women, that aren't really ministers per se, that have gone to the Church of Universal Light website and for $75 gotten their Doctor of Theology degree, and they call themselves Doctor this or Doctor that, or put a PhD after their name and begin doing weddings. A lot of those people never bother to find out the laws in Nevada and don't ever get their license to perform marriages in Nevada. So you need to be careful when you're selecting a minister that they are not only an ordained minister, if that's what you're looking for, but also they're licensed by the county that they live in.
So if they're not licensed, you could actually run into a problem with it being official?
Well, I think the law actually states that if the person that's doing if they tell you that they are a licensed minister within the state of Nevada with one of the counties, and they're not, then they're the ones in trouble if they perform the marriage.
Gotcha. One of the things I really liked with our ceremony was the fact that we were able to personalize it so much. We were able to write our own vows. We were able to go to your website, which is lasvegasrev.com, and
actually, pardon me, it's lvrev.com.
It's lvrev.com, excuse me, yes. And we were able to, take and put, like, we had a blessing in our vows and everything. We were able to personalize it a lot, which really appealed to us.
Yeah, on my website, faithlvrev.com, under the ceremony information section, there's actually a form that you can complete, and there are different editions that I add, different blessings and readings and things like that. The unity candle, the sand ceremony. A lot of times, especially in Las Vegas, we don't use the unity candle as much because of the wind, and they opt for the sand ceremony. Also, in the I offer a including your children. Like if it's an extended family where the bride and groom might have children by previous marriages, we can include those into the ceremony and make it kind of a uniting the family type thing. But when you talk about the writing your own vows, I have some people tell me when we meet that they would like to write their own vows, but very few of those actually ever write their own vows, and even those that do, once they get to the wedding, they're so nervous that they say, we're just going to go with the vows that you have rather than what we have. If people want to write their own vows, that's certainly fine, but a lot of times, too, you have to remember that they are vows that you're making to one another, not a story about where you met and how much they love each other. So they need to be aware of that. And also, when you write those vows, you need to make sure that there's a flow to them. Usually what I ask the couple to do is just to put them on a 3x5 card or a smaller note and then just read them to each other when we get down to the rings and vows. A lot of times they're not written where they can be repeated in short phrases there.
Yeah, I know with ours, we tried to keep it, I think, we tried to keep it to where it would be really readable. And in fact, I believe we typed them out so it would be easier for us. We also practiced them beforehand to make sure that, we weren't gonna be so nervous we couldn't say them.
And that's always a good thing. To do. There are things, I don't have a verbatim ceremony. I do both traditional and ceremony. And here's another couple of questions that come up with brides that they're sometimes hesitant to ask the minister because they're afraid they're going to offend them. As ministers in Las Vegas or in Nevada, we serve two offices there, serving two offices. We do both religious ceremonies because we are of some religious belief or faith. And the other thing is we do civil ceremonies. So we do those that like a government official would do, a judge or a justice of the peace or somebody like that. We can do both. And just because I'm a Christian minister doesn't mean that I won't do civil ceremonies or I'm offended because somebody would ask. I mean, there are certain things that I wouldn't do because of my beliefs. I respect everybody's beliefs, but if somebody wants me to say something that really goes against what my core beliefs are, I'm not going to do that. But, that's where it's good to either, if you don't meet in person, at least talk by phone or by email to determine if that minister is the right fit for you.
I think that was that's a huge thing. Two, for another reason is just that your personalities are a good fit. I know we met with you before the ceremony because my husband-to-be had never met you. So, it was a thing where, well, come on, we need to go meet Phil, and you need to feel comfortable with this as well. So that's...
And people, if they look at my website, they're going to pick up that I usually add some levity into the ceremony. I try not to be the focus of attention or to be a clown, but I add levity just to break the ice or relieve the tension with the guest or with the couple or the wedding party. But I can do it both ways. If somebody wants a strictly solemn ceremony, I'm open to do that. I just need to hear that from them, that's what they want. And there have been times where I have done my ceremony with some levity to it, and I've offended some guests. But I get my direction from the bride and groom, not from the guest or from, the maid of honor or from the parents or somebody.
Right. Well, and I always thought, working with you, and that's why we chose you, was that because you did that, it lightened the mood a little bit because you're nervous,
I think so. But, and a lot of personality plays into it. The ministers that you have, some of them are very pious and very straight-laced, and, if that's what you're looking for, well, that would be a good fit. If you're looking for somebody a little bit more lighthearted or likes to interject a little levity in there or humor, then, that's who you want to choose.
Absolutely, and I really believe that. Now, I have a major question for you. You're going to love this. Just out of curiosity, what is one of the weirdest, wackiest weddings you've done in Las Vegas that stands out in your mind?
Well, and I guess this would probably be sad too. I guess it's humorous, but it's sad. I did a wedding one day for a couple, and the bride insisted that the groom take her last name rather than the other way around. And I said, well, you know, if that's the way you want it, that's the way we'll do it. But a week later, she was calling me crying because her husband had left her. Then I had another wedding where the groom told me, he said, you know, I want you to put honor and obey into the vows, which was taken out 35 years ago. And I said, well, I want you to think about this before we do it. If I ask you to repeat that in front of your guest, you're going to bring a negative pale over the whole ceremony, and everybody's going to be staring daggers through you.
Yeah.
And so he determined that that's not something he wanted to do.
Good decision.
And then I remember one wedding, and it's never good to have a wedding where the guests start drinking before the ceremony. Where there was a couple that come from another state, and all their family was here on both sides, and they got drunk before they ever got to the ceremony. The family did, and during the reception, a fight broke out, and the bride went home with her mother, and the groom went home with his mother, and they wanted me to give them the paperwork back and nullify the wedding. Of course, I cannot do that by law. You know, that was something they're going to have to deal with in the courts or with lawyers. So, you know, those are some sad things that do happen. But, you know, having done over 8,000 weddings, I can tell you the vast majority of them are fun and really enjoyable. We have, I've had Gwen Stefani, no doubt, and as a bridesmaid, and no doubt in a wedding, and no doubt was in the audience. I had Charlie Sheen as a guest in our wedding, and Charlie Sheen actually came up to me and complimented me on my ceremony. He was a very nice gentleman, and nothing what you've seen lately on TV, but it's a very humble, nice guy. And Neil Patrick Harris was a groomsman in one of our weddings, very approachable, nice guy. And Mr. I don't remember the actor's name right off, but he played, I believe it was Mr. Belvedere, the principal in the Saved by the Bell.
Oh, okay.
He was in one of the weddings. So, and I've seen a number of character actors in our weddings that I recognize their faces. I just can't place them exactly where I saw them.
Yeah, I've had the same issues. I'm not really good with always remembering the names, but well, I want to thank you so much this morning for doing an interview and helping our brides on this. You know, it's a big decision on who to have come and officiate your wedding, and it gives them a little better idea. So we were very honored to have you as a guest this morning.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me, Faith.
Well, thank you, Reverend Phil. We really appreciate it.